and welcome to another episode of the playonultra podcast. This is episode 111.
The best number.
Yeah.
111.
Foehamner is not here this week, so our indie game enthusiast connoisseur is not here. But
yeah,
our incest expert is still here, so that's fine.
No, I am not. Do not say this in front of the new guest.
And yes, we have a guest. Yes,
we do. Let's put attention to that, not the incest expert, please.
Say hello.
Are you
to
sure? Because I think
Xing
that this
Vogel.
over here sounds really interesting.
We'll get to that later because I have an update.
Say hello to our new guest, Xing Vogel.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Vogel.
Hello, Vogel.
You're a friend of Callie Zenon, who's been a guest on this podcast a lot of times already.
Yeah.
She's amazing. I am not surprised she's been a guest several times.
Yeah, we love her.
We like having her on.
And so, tell the people listening, what is it that you do? Is it on Twitch? Is it on YouTube? Do you stream? What is it do you do?
I am a Twitch streamer. My username is actually xSingVogelx because, you know, the person who took my name had to take it and I had to put the little X's in encasing it. So
You have to put
anyway,
the Xbox gamer tag style.
Yes, I have to be an Xbox gamer now.
I was going to say it was a 13-year-old making their first Yahoo account, but that works too.
Pretty much. That's exactly. Although my 13-year-old first account was like Mecha Kitty or something. It was kind of, you know, it was very like typical 13-year-old like username. Anyway, so I'm a variety streamer on Twitch, and a variety streamer in any sense of the word that you can imagine. I stream all kinds of games. I don't really have like a home game. So I'm just getting started on YouTube. I don't have a whole lot of YouTube presence right now. There's a couple videos. I mainly just upload my VODs onto YouTube, so. But that's just me.
Cool.
Nice. As usual, you can find all the links in the description below. Also, check out our Discord channel thingy.
Because we're cool.
Yeah. So, what did you guys do this week?
I mostly played the same games I played last week, so unfortunately not much of an update there, but I promised an incest update, so I will deliver. Guys, I can't believe I'm actually saying that. So I've been playing Fire Emblem Echoes, and the two main people I still don't know yet.
Uh-oh.
Did she just freeze?
Incest
update and then she froze.
But
it was too much.
It was
Skype was like, no.
The main lead female.
No, the
has
NSA or
she's
whoever.
found, sorry.
You totally froze, Sarah.
Yeah.
You were
sorry.
like, incest update, and like, just froze.
Yeah, I know. You guys froze too. So
Right.
Anyway, my end has anyway.
I'm pretty
let's
sure
just
someone's
start this
listening
over.
to us.
Yeah. Okay, let's try this again. So I've been playing Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia. I almost said Valeria because I just came from playing a tabletop Song of Ice and Fire. Wrong world. Valentia. So anyway, I don't have any updates about the two main leads, but we finally got to meet the half-brother, I guess, spoiler alert, of one of the female characters. And, I mean, things are fine. Like, there's nothing that weird, but I do find it a little weird that in a family that you know had lots of brothers and sisters, these two apparently were, like, best pals when they were younger, and they were the only ones that survived because they were all killed, and I don't know, I'm a little concerned about this half-brother of mine. But that's my incest update for the week. Why is this a thing?
And what do you mean by the word concerned? I want to know more about this. Let's tease this out a little bit.
Lordy. This is slightly spoiler territory for Echo, so I apologize for people. Just let you know, this is technically spoilerific. But your half-brother is a knight. It's basically a knight character, and he's there to protect you. He was kind of watching your back secretly, until he finally introduced himself, which is fine, but... So part of Echoes that's really cool is you get these little tiny scenes that you can collect that are supposed to be like what happened before the game. So you see sometimes characters when they were little kids and interacting, and so it's kind of like little snippets of the past, short stories. So you get them with these two characters, and it's about how the boy was, they're half siblings, and there's a whole thing where, like, the boy is scared because he accidentally broke a vase, and he doesn't want to get in trouble, and the main female character is like, it's okay, we'll take you to see the king, and we'll make sure it's gonna be okay, and he ends it with, like, okay, but can you please hold my hand? Which is fine, like, that's cutesy, but I'm very concerned because I know Japan. I'm a little worried. And, I mean, it's fine. I have an older brother, so I know... Let me just put it this way. My older brother would never ask me to hold his hand when he was scared. So that's why I'm a little unsure about all of this. So, that's my concern.
Yeah, I could see that. Just a little.
Not related to incest, but...
Thanks, let's get off the topic, please.
So I've been playing more Persona 5. Before that, it's... I played like an extra 40 hours this past 2 weeks or something.
Oh,
and
man.
I'm totally fucking obsessed with Persona 5 right now.
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
boy.
It's basically has reached the Witcher 3 tier of shit I love. And
man.
You know how much I love Witcher 3.
Yeah, I
And Persona 5 is pretty much up there.
do. Jeez.
Yeah. It's that good. I just love, like, the decisions the game forces you make. It's like, who shall I fuck today? No, it's like, who shall I talk to today? Or maybe I should have a bath, or I should eat beef bowl noodles or whatever. And
Sorry.
but one of the interesting thing is, a couple of the relationship options is the older women, right? One's a nurse, one is your actual teacher, like in
I
high
heard
school.
about this.
Yeah.
I heard about this.
So your character is like 16, 17. And I'm not sure how old the teachers are. They don't look old because nobody in Japan ages, right?
Right,
And-
exactly. Until, like, they do.
Yeah.
So there's, like,
Yeah,
they
it's
don't
like
age, and then they
they
reach
age
the age,
until,
and
like,
all
they're
of a sudden
40
they
and
look like they're 100
they just
years
shrink.
older.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was just like Googling stuff, reading about the relationship and stuff like that, and I came across a couple of articles and like comments regarding like regarding being 16 and being with someone older, and they're mostly American point of views, and I feel like it's like these people are like forcing their morals on the Japanese, because in Japan, I'm pretty sure the consensual age is 15 or something
It
like
used
that.
to be 13, but I think they upped
Yeah,
it.
they upped it, yeah, 15, 16. I'm pretty sure it's like 15, 16. So I just feel it's a bit weird to say like, no, you're wrong because we do it this way kind of thing. In UK it's 16. So it's like, I don't know, I just find it's a bit weird.
Yeah, I mean, that's Americans for you, though, to be fair. It's kind of funny, because in the U.S., age of consent differs by state. The lowest...
This is very true.
I'm trying to remember what the lowest is. I feel like the lowest might be 15, maybe even 14.
I want to say it's 14.
Yeah,
if you're talking about, I think it's maybe 14 in either Louisiana or...
One of the southern states.
Yeah, well, I'm in Texas, and it's 15 here, so...
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
I think, and I know I'm from
Yeah,
Michigan, so...
whenever like Americans talk about that age, it's like they always use the number 18, but there's so many states that don't do it at 18.
No,
Right?
in fact, it's no. I've actually, no, I'm from
Is
Michigan.
majority 18 though?
No, I would
It
say
depends on what
majority
you're
is-
talking about.
Yeah.
Legal age, like to be tried as an adult, that's completely different than like say age of consent, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'll just use my own state as an example. Like in Texas, the legal age to be tried as an adult is actually 17 and not 18 like it is in most other states. Age of consent is 15. We have something called the Romeo and Juliet law here, where you can actually be 15 and date someone who is at least 3 years older than you. So even if you are a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old, you can still date like a 15-year-old without being charged with statutory rape. So
Jesus.
there's
You can
that.
drink poison together. Yay.
Unless you are of the same sex, and then it's automatically statutory rape.
Obviously.
Yay!
Of course it is.
Yay.
Obviously, of course it is.
Oh, so you're from Texas, right? Have you been to Paris?
I have. I've driven through Paris. I've driven through Nome too.
We need to ask you a
You have to
question.
drive through Nome.
We already know the
Texas.
answer to the question, though.
I know, but we have to ask.
Okay, fine.
We have to know. Please, we have to know.
What?
Have you been up? Are you allowed to go up the Eiffel Tower with a cowboy hat?
I don't know. I've never been up it. I've seen it, but like,
Does it light
Paris
up at
is
night?
one of those places that you drive through, not stop
Right.
at.
So nobody stops and like do those pictures where their fingers
I'm
are like
pretty
bigger
sure
than
they do, but I literally have just driven through, and it was during the day, so I don't know if it lights up. You could probably find like pictures and stuff.
Oh, we
but-
have. I don't know how this came up. This came up like 3 episodes ago.
We were googling some name of a cafe or something, and then I was like,
Yeah.
Paris, Texas. What
Paris,
the fuck?
Texas?
Why is that Eiffel Tower with a fucking cowboy hat on it?
with a red cowboy hat.
Yep.
And we found a reason to like ask about it every single episode since. It's very strange.
Yeah, that's the thing we do.
Texas is a very interesting and very big place. You can find all sorts of things. Like my hometown has this thing with giant ceramic jackrabbits. There are giant ceramic jackrabbits placed strategically throughout the entire town, and it all comes off of this one bronze jackrabbit that's like in downtown Odessa that has the it has an ingredient list and a recipe for making like cooking jackrabbit. It's interesting. But
Have you ever had it?
jackrabbit? Yeah, it's good.
Is it good? Okay. Is it really tough,
Yeah.
like gamey, or is it?
Oh no! It's really soft. It's more like I'm trying to think of like what it's a lot lighter than say beef. It's not really like a red meat. It's more like eating
Pork?
no, not quite like pork either. I'm trying to think of all the things that I've eaten to try and compare it to. It's closer to like quail, like the texture, but you probably, I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of other things that are normally eaten that...
Have you ever had venison?
Yes, yeah. It's kind of
Okay.
like venison if you're
Okay.
eating a leaner part of the meat. It's very lean.
Got it.
Like jackrabbit
Okay.
is very lean.
Interesting.
Or like lamb. Kind of like lamb if
Oh,
you're eating a really, like I said, lean part of the meat.
Yeah, a good part of lamb. Lamb is very easy to get tough. If you make it
That's
correctly.
true. That is very true. But I love lamb if it's cooked correctly.
Yes.
So good.
Well, that was an interesting. I was just curious. I was like, I've never had jackrabbit before. I wonder what that tastes like.
It's tasty. If you've never had rattlesnake too.
I've never had rattlesnake. Oh.
Rattlesnake is so good. It's
do
very
they cook
tasty
it?
and flavorful.
how do
You could grill it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
With the skin?
Grill it.
Or do you...
No, you skin it like a fish.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like a fish.
Oh, okay.
You would just like skin it and then take the spine out and then grill it like that. I mean, obviously, there's not like too terribly much of the meat that you
Right.
can use. Like, it's not like a steak or anything, but it actually tastes like a softer version of chicken. Really, it really does. People say, "Oh, it tastes like chicken." Rattlesnake actually tastes like chicken.
Well, interesting.
Nice.
Someday. Cool stuff. Anyway, weren't we talking about age of consent?
Something like that,
Something
yeah.
like that.
Something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
All I was gonna mention is that in Michigan it's 16. You can't get married until you're 18, but you can age of consent is 16. And I think quite a few states it tends to be more like around 16 or so, which is why like in America usually like whenever about issues around age of consent come up as far as an American ideal, usually 16 is the number people stick to, but sometimes it's 18 even though fewer states have it as 18 or 17. But yeah, I mean, I just personally have a weird issue with the idea of relationships with your teacher in any case, because it's kind of like it makes me that just makes me feel weird. But as far as legally, I guess it's
actually, well, here I don't know how it is in other states, but even if you are in school, a teacher can't date you. Like you
it's like
go to
figure of
prison
authority or
if you
whatever.
were a teacher dating, and even if that because claim to fame here, where I am from, so many teachers are like currently in prison for dating students, and it kind of makes me cringe like a lot.
Yeah, it's very squeaky.
But even if you're 18, as long as you are still going to the school that they are employed at, you can't date a student at all.
It's a very squicky thing. It's so funny. I'm always curious about in Japan because I mean I don't know how rampant these teachers.
It could be fantasies.
I think it is.
It could be that it's like their fantasies and they just live through like all this.
Yeah. Because we do have a couple of equivalents in United States. I don't watch Pretty Little Liars. I just happen to know that this is a plot of Pretty Little Liars, where it's actually kind of really weird, where a student basically has a fake ID, so they get into a bar, so they and meet up with their teacher, and basically lie about their age, and so the teacher I think they have sex or something, but then when the teacher finds out it's like a student at a school he works at, they still continue the relationship instead of stopping it, and I think they go okay. I don't know what happens. I don't watch Pretty Little Liars. I just remember this was a huge thing. So in the United States, we have this. It's just it's a fantasy thing, and Persona 5 included it because why not?
One thing I like about Persona 5 is like most, if not all, the characters, they have like really like shitty backgrounds. They can come from like shitty backgrounds and like have like a sob backstory, right?
Terrible traumas in their past.
Pretty much. Like some of them are pretty fucked up, and like and they also have like allusions to like mental health and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. How do they deal with those issues? I'm curious.
It's not really an issue put up to the forefront. Yeah. It's like part of the story or part of the character.
An exploration, sort of.
Yeah,
so to
it's
speak.
not really like I think I'll probably be spoiling things if I talk too much about it. But there are like some mental health elements to it as well. So I thought it's a fucking good game, seriously. And the music is just fucking beautiful. It's like, it's one of those that I can listen to when I'm not playing the game. It's that good.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. I've heard it's really good.
But I do love like music from JRPGs though. So
yeah, of course. I'm always curious. Yeah, Vogel. I'm going to say this for the 20th time to our audience, but Vogel doesn't know. I studied mental health. I am a social worker, so I'm always interested in video games and depictions of mental health, and usually in Japanese media, how they depict mental health and how they explore the issues is always very interesting to me because they have it's not totally different, but there is a cultural aspect to it that gets added on that's from, I mean, it's very sad, but just from a cultural difference perspective, it's always very fascinating. And it's really cool when certain games really tug at those in interesting ways. Even if it's not the healthiest ways they deal with it, it's still interesting. So
No, the funniest thing is that I'm a social worker too, actually. So
yeah, I totally forgot to mention that in the
I'm
beginning.
a licensed social worker in Texas.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. We have to talk after. Anyway,
yes, I know. And exactly what you were saying is what I think about as well in every single game that I play. I'm like, what were the devs thinking about, like, psychologically? How were they trying to play on the person who's playing this game's emotions, their thoughts, their feelings, their past? You know, like, how are they actually pulling apart those pieces and actually connecting with their players?
Yeah.
You guys should play Hellblade.
I want to play that. I wish it wasn't so expensive.
Because the mental health part is like the main element to that game.
Yes.
Yeah. That's interesting. It's a $30 game though.
It is. But I've heard they actually hired psychologists to develop the plot of the game to make it to where it's literally like having psychosis. So they've taken all of these pieces and Yeah, exactly. They've taken all these pieces from people who have experienced psychosis from these psychologists. They've taken their stories and put them into this story of Hellblade. And it's... I was watching a little bit of it last night, and it was just crazy. I mean, I don't want to spoil the game at all, but I had to sit here and like, I don't know how I feel right now.
Yep, it feels weird.
There's a really huge mechanic in that game where if you die too many times, the game will delete your save game.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure
You
if
have to start
that's
over
trying
again.
to say like total mental shutdown or something like that, and you just
Yeah.
can't continue or something.
Oh, jeez.
But it's basically people are 50-50 on that. Some are saying like
Yeah.
this is just poor game design. I'm not gonna waste my time playing it if
Yeah.
you're gonna delete my save, and other people is just like it's part of the game design and it's supposed to be there to like to freak you out a bit. It's like at the back of your head, even though the
Yeah.
game is not like super difficult to play, but it's just
Okay.
a lingering. The mechanic
Yeah.
makes you think about it, and that's what the dev wanted, I guess.
Yeah, I've got a lot of mixed feelings about that because from a practical standpoint, I suck at video games. So that to me just sounds like, oh, that just sounds like hell. Like just ugh. But at the same time, I feel like if I were to actually sit down and play it, I would be like, oh my gosh, look at that trip. Like it's one of those like I'd appreciate after the fact, but during the moment, that sucks. It's one of those things. Which psychological horror, it's kind of the point.
It's like
Yeah,
Undertale. It's like Undertale when you
Oh,
if you
yes.
play it right the first time, if you go through if your first playthrough was the what you call that, the
Like
peaceful
the new
playthrough? Pacifism, yeah. And because that's the proper way to play it, right?
Yeah, it's a true ending.
Yeah, the true ending. But the thing is, my first playthrough, I was just like killing every fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, then I was like, I'm kind of lazy to continue right now.
Yeah. It's
So,
hard. It's
yeah.
hard. But yeah.
I don't know how to feel about a game having a mechanic that makes me need to research it first before playing it.
I always feel weird about those. Like, yeah, it's
Because a lot of games you just want to go in blind.
yeah. I mean that you kind of want to. Yeah. I really don't like Fire Emblem is actually a great example of this. It's not quite the same thing, but like to get the best Fire Emblem Awakening, of course, was all about having kids and making good kids. And even though I was on the lowest difficulty for that
And then
game,
making those kids make other kids.
Yeah. Well, it only goes one generation, but yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it doesn't go that crazy.
So this is not an incest update, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no, this is
Okay.
no incest update. We're done with that. All right, we're done with that. Tune in for next week. But this is for Awakening, not Echoes. But what I remember, like I was in the lowest difficulty setting, but I was poring over Wikipedia pages and game FAQ pages for like what class should I make this person and stuff like that, and it was driving me nuts, and it just wasn't a good time. But yeah, it's I don't know. I feel really weird about it in general when any kind of game where it's like I need to look this up or else I'm gonna like screw myself over. Especially like it's one thing if it's like a surprise, like oops, but it's one thing, I don't know, it's a different thing when it's like you're gonna break your game if you don't do this right.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
What about you, Vogel? What did you do this week? What did you do?
Well, speaking about like psychological horror kind of games, I played Outlast for the first time, actually.
Oh,
The first one?
interesting.
So
Or second one?
yeah. Do what?
The first one?
Yes, the first one. I've watched a little bit of the gameplay of Outlast 2, but I have completely avoided spoiling myself on Outlast because I had a couple of viewers who really wanted me to play it blind on stream.
Mm-hmm.
So I finally got through it, and it took me all of like 8 hours and 40 minutes or something like that. Took two streaming sessions to get through the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept saying, when is this game going to end? No, I'm outside. When is this game going to end? But it was a very interesting game. It'll be a minute before I play the DLC, the Whistleblower. I have not played that yet, and I have not spoiled that self for my yet, or that self for my. I haven't spoiled that for myself yet. So we'll be seeing how that goes. It was a very interesting game. They put a lot of thought into what they were doing, but the ending was a little very dissatisfying.
Yeah.
Extremely dissatisfying.
It is really hard in general to find a good psychological horror game with a satisfying ending. Can I just say? It's really hard. There are so many great concepts, and they start, and a lot of them have incredible beginnings, incredible starts, and you're really hyped for it, but the endings almost always suck. And I think it's unfortunately the nature of the beast, because there's only so much. I mean, the main question you always have to ask is is this real, or is this all in someone's head? And unfortunately, you can't get away with either of those two options, and either of them can be really, really dull when executed poorly.
I also have always thought if maybe it had something to do with development, they were getting into the story so much that it took such a long time to get through the first part of the development, and then oh shit, we've got to get this out, we've got to push it out. Aliens, it's aliens, let's do that.
Exactly.
So it just kind of gets rushed to the very end, and they're like, we got to have we've got to sit this down right now, and we gotta have this fucking ending right now.
Yeah,
right now.
Exactly. Just right now.
Aliens
think of
putting
something.
stuff up your butt.
Yeah,
exactly.
Much.
All those probes.
It's like they build up, and then nothing.
Which is why I'm kind of excited to play the DLC too, because a lot of people were telling me that it really finishes out the story and makes it more satisfying. But I don't know, because I haven't played it, I haven't looked it up, nothing like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, I hope so. It's so funny. Speaking of those kinds of things, this isn't purely psychological horror, but whenever I think of a good example of wonderful start, really dissatisfying ending, we've made fun of David Cage here a lot, but Fahrenheit or Indigo Prophecy. Are you familiar with that game, Vogel, at all?
I am not. I heard of it, but I don't know the gameplay or anything like that yet. Now I need to remind.
Yeah, I would look into it because it's kind of a trip. it's a DDR style gameplay. It's very strange, but anyway,
it's like QTE, not DDR.
Yeah, it's QTE, but it's like DDR, as in you have four different things. That's what I mean.
Sure, yeah.
It's QTE, but DDR style.
True.
But this isn't a spoiler because it literally happens the first start of the game. It has, this game, in my opinion, has one of the most interesting starts to any game. Really whoa. Basically, the start of the game is, you see the main character, he's in a bathroom, and he opens the door, and there's some random guy in the bathroom, and he stabs him. And then all of a sudden you can control the character. You don't know why you just stabbed that guy, but the police are coming, and you need to hide the body. That's how the game starts. And so you actually have choices as far as what you're going to do to hide the body, blah, blah, blah. And it starts out interesting because you play as that guy, not sure why on earth he was possessed to kill somebody. And then you play as the detective who's kind of trying to figure out everything that's happening, including this murder. So the first two scenes are, you're the guy who just was a murderer and you had to figure out hide the body. Then you play as the detective who's trying to find clues of the murder you just committed. So super cool concept. Not to spoil too much, but the ending's basically aliens.
Yeah.
It's aliens. It's always aliens.
It's always aliens. It's basically
David Cage is like,
aliens.
emotions. Aliens. Fuck you, David Cage.
Anyway. So
at least Heavy Rain wasn't aliens.
Yes, it's Heavy Rain is also one of those that's just really weird because so Heavy Rain, one of the main story plots, as some people may know, is there was a father who, one of his sons had passed away that he blamed himself for, and another of his sons has been kidnapped by this serial killer who, kidnaps children and tries to get the fathers to play Saw-like games to see how far they'll go to save their children.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. But, the thing with the father is there's lots of parts of the game that don't make a lot of sense of what happens to him, and I found out much later that there was supposed to be a supernatural element to the game that they ended up cutting out because it didn't make sense. And unfortunately, you can kind of still see it in some of those scenes. You're like, why did he? Because he just randomly has spells where he kind of forgets what he's doing, and he suddenly ends up in a random place, and so you're like, oh, what happened to him? And it's never resolved.
He loves his supernatural stuff.
He really does. ugh.
I'm gonna guess Detroit also is gonna have some supernatural stuff.
Detroit seems to be more android focused, and
I'm sure there's
freedom.
aliens somewhere.
I'm sure it's aliens. Always aliens.
They're not actually android. They're aliens
They're
in the
alien.
androids.
Oh my
or
gosh, that
something.
would be so funny. They're not actually androids.
You know,
they're
like
just
Men in Black, and then
enslaved
it opens a
aliens.
small little alien piloting the android or some shit like that.
You know what? I would be so okay with that ending because it's just like, what?
He just went full David Cage, I guess. It's like his final
went full
form or something.
Yeah, just went full David. Never go full David Cage.
But then it like makes me think about the complete opposite. I don't know if you guys have ever played Firewatch or watched
I know
the
of
game.
it.
You know of
I've
it.
watched it.
Yeah, the other guy
So,
played
like,
it though. For him.
Yeah,
Spoiler.
probably.
Like spoiler. You go through the entire game thinking that it's aliens, and it turns out not to be anything supernatural or sci-fi, or there's like
Yeah.
nothing.
It's just sad.
Literally there's nothing that
It's
went
Seinfeld, the
wrong.
game.
Yeah. That's it. I was like, I was expecting, some kind of crazy CIA, like, conspiracy.
Yeah.
Aliens, some kind of weird monsters, or Nope. Just ends up being the things that could happen. I mean, weird things, but things that can just occur naturally in our world every day.
Yeah.
So,
It's just
I was
sad.
like, Well, I mean, and it the way that it ended kind of like, so, I mean, like, again, some of these, like, psychological games, it's very difficult to end them in a way that you think the player is going to appreciate. So,
Yeah.
The ending, of course, really sucked. The gameplay was amazing. It's more of like a walking simulator kind of story game. But, it just, like, was very trippy to be thinking that something was happening this whole time when really nothing was crazy or happening in a way that wouldn't be, natural this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always this they trick you.
Yes, exactly.
I didn't know this. Hellboy is getting a reboot.
Oh. Like the game?
The
Or
movies.
movie? The movies. Oh, okay.
Reboot meaning different actors. Meaning no fucking Ron Perlman.
Oh, no.
I just read Mila Jovovich is going to be the villain, I think. Which is cool. I like her. But Hellboy is going to be played by David Harbour of Stranger Things, I guess.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I mean, he has the chin for it. But Ron Perlman, though.
I know.
Ron fucking Perlman. This
sadness.
sucks. But there's gonna be Ian McShane as well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. Sarah, did you watch Voltron season 3?
No. It's out?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It's only 7 episodes.
Oh.
It's supposed to
Is
be 12, right? It's usually 12.
Usually 12, yeah.
Because season 4, which is coming out in a few months, is going to be the remaining 5 episodes. So technically season 3 and 4 is season 3.
Oh, darn it,
What?
guys. Okay.
It's like a season 3 and season 3.5. I don't know why they did that.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
a very weird way to release a season.
Yeah.
It's like they're rushing it, I feel. And
Weird.
the actual thing also felt kind of rush.
Aw, dang it. Come on, guys.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so what's that? I feel like there's no build up and there's nothing. It's like, I was just like,
It's all about that
fuck this shit.
development money. It's all
Yeah.
about that
Yeah.
development money. I guarantee you. Well, maybe, I don't know. That's my theory behind stuff like that. Is
Is
always
it basically like, no, is it
something-
just status quo the whole time?
It's like, because, did you watch season 2?
I actually didn't finish season 2. I'm the last, like,
Okay,
4
so
episodes, so
it's,
sorry.
it's like spoiling stuff. So, but
It's,
like somebody went
but
missing.
I know it
and
ends
then-
in a cliffhanger. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I know it ends in a cliffhanger.
Yeah, somebody went missing, and then
Yeah.
that person is like also featured in season 3, and it's
Okay.
just like, okay,
Yeah.
There's like nothing. There's not Seinfeld. It's literally Seinfeld.
Yeah. Come on, guys. Maybe
I
it's
don't
really,
understand what's the
wonder
point of season 3. I mean, that's Prince Lothar, I guess, but...
Yeah. I wonder if season 5 is... season 5. I wonder if the last 5 episodes, like, they... I don't know. It's weird because it's like, are those going to be very, very different then? And this is just... I don't know. I guess we'll see.
No, it's like a...
I'm going to watch it.
It's a continuation cliffhanger thing. Maybe, hopefully, season 5... Season 4. The 5 episodes will be, like, really, really good.
Yeah.
I doubt it, though.
Come on, guys. Come on.
Season 2 is the best. Season 2 is the best. Mm-hmm. Season 1, I feel like it built up a bit of a few things, and then season 2 just like was really, really good and really funny.
Yeah. Season 2 is so funny. Main thing I like about season 2 were actually the bad guys. They made them much more unique, because I had problems, this is really embarrassing to admit, I had problems differentiating some of the bad guys in season 1, because they felt very one-tone to me at times. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm just kind of stupid, but I felt like I actually got confused. Like,
or something. Hey.
I know, I'm sorry.
They all look the same. They have blue, purple skin.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, they just felt very one-tone note to me, so I was like, wait, this guy does what now? And then season 2, I was like, they're very, very different. I was like, oh, hey! It's kind of got personality, this is funny, so, but yeah. I mean, I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, I keep forgetting to finish season 2. I think because at the time, I didn't want it to end, but I didn't know season 3 came out, so now I need to finish it.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll just wait till there's 12 episodes.
I almost want to say don't waste your time.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's quite bad, I feel.
No.
Fuck that. At least Castlevania was good. Looking forward to that.
Yes, I still need to watch that.
So yeah, what else did you play, Vogel? Or what else did you do this week?
So like one of the cool things that I'm a part of is a alpha testing for a new game called Hanako, Honor and Blade. It's a really
novel?
Do what?
It sounded like the visual novel that reminded me of, but I don't think that's what that is. Sorry.
It's not. It's a game that the developers have been kind of developing for the past, I want to say, 10 years.
Holy shit.
Well, see, like the first part of the development kind of happened and then a break, but the last 4 or so years is when they've really started like creating the actual gameplay and the art and everything. So like one of the things about it that I really thought was interesting and really drew me to the game is that the main developer, he started making this game based on his mom who died of breast cancer 10 years ago. And so that's why it's been in development for like 10 years, because he's kind of started with the idea when that happened. They kind of drew it out and everything, took a break, and then really started getting into the actual development and gameplay and mechanics. But so the whole game is like visually aesthetic and designed around this experience that he's had and his mom and everything. As a part of it, there's like cherry blossom trees which have the pink leaves kind of falling down, which symbolize like breast cancer awareness and things like that. It's really cool. But the game in and of itself is kind of like a battle royale type game. You can have up to 8 players on both sides, so 16 players in all. And right now they only have 3 classes of characters, so it's a kind of like a samurai type character, a pole arms character, and an assassin. So you can play one of those 3 character types, and they have several different game modes. One of them is where you have kind of like a VIP character for one of the teams, and the other team has to find and kill the VIP character, where the VIP characters teams have to make sure they protect that character. But the whole thing is like based off of this kind of like struggle that of like battling this unknown that I think he kind of personifies as his mom, kind of like battling this disease. So it's really cool, and it's a really at face value, the game is really fun to play. You can have a massive amount of people in it, which I think is what a lot of communities are looking for, is these multiplayer games where it's not just like 4 or 5 players that you can put on a team, but you can actually have up to 16 people in an entire match playing against each other. But
I like the Okami look. It looks very
yes,
cool.
yes, it does. It has the okami look, and I love it. And it's all based off of like Japanese culture, and everything is very to the history. Like they didn't really add anything. Everything is very
accurate.
What am I thinking of? Like do what?
Accurate.
Yes, accurate. There you go. Some words, things.
But
come on.
But do you need, when you play the game, do you know all about the mom thing, or is you need to know the history of the development before to know about the mom and the breast cancer and stuff like that?
There is a story section that you can go to in the very beginning, so it's in the menu, and it has a story. I believe that he is inputting some more into that to really flesh out the story and everything like that. But right now, it's just a small story section that tells you about the development and why. If you go into certain parts of the maps, there are like messages written in the tiles, and it's really, really cool. It's neat. It's like the story written out in the actual graphics of the game. So it's really, like I said, it's a really neat game. It's great on face value. Once you know the actual depth of the story, it's even better. You're kind of like, I'm playing this for, there's a cause behind the whole development of this game. So I believe that is releasing in October 9th, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Is it releasing as a full game or like early access? Or
It'll be early access. It'll be releasing in early access. Right now it's in closed alpha.
Nice.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
That's really unique.
It is, I think so, and I feel bad because the only game that I can really compare it to is For Honor, but it's really not like For Honor at all. I've watched gameplay of For Honor, and it's just not the same. It is third person. It's more almost like, yeah, I don't know what else to compare it to really, except for like a battle royale kind of game, but you're on teams and like a battlefield type setting. So
cool.
Nice. Pretty much play Persona 5 and that's it. So
Yeah.
Sarah, what else did you play? Any games without incest maybe?
I played more of Cinderella Phenomenon. I got an ending that was not with the stepbrother.
Right.
So no incest on that one.
That one's next week. Tune in next week for the stepbrother.
Yeah, exactly. No, I already did the stepbrother.
Oh,
We're
okay.
done with that.
I already
Yeah.
did him. Okay, all right.
I already did, and we're done.
Oh,
I think
my.
I think I already talked about it, how they actually did like they do end it where it's you guys have to like meet in secret. It's not they don't try to pretty it. They don't try to make it like, oh, it all ends up fine. They do make it like, no, you guys have to actually meet in secret, and only your stepsister, his biological sister, know about it, and we'll see what happens, you know. But no, I got another ending with a different dude who was a lost prince, so much more acceptable to daddy. And all good. Yeah, I'm just kind of playing through it now. One thing we've been talking about like psychological mental health and stuff, and I kind of reference this a little bit, Cinderella Phenomenon, but one thing I really, really like about it is I think I mentioned this before a couple weeks ago, but just to update Vogel on it. So part of the Cinderella Phenomenon is that the main character is very unlikable at the beginning. She's not like rude, but she's got an icy heart, they describe her as. There's no love in her heart. And it's kind of interesting because your stepsister that you meet is very much more that traditional, like, heroine fairy tale. It has a lot to do with fairy tales without spoiling too much. The stepsister is very much like that, the fairy tale heroine. She's beautiful, she's kind, she's loving, she's trying her best, and so she's like the traditional protagonist, but she's not the protagonist. You are, and you're icy, you're mean, you're kind of rude needlessly to people. You kind of think you're high and hoity-toity, and you know, the whole game, no matter what route you take, is all about this character kind of overcoming and trying to be a nicer person. That's literally the point of the story. So it's not like she gets away with this. But what's really interesting is during each route there's different flashbacks, because basically you remember your mother. She had passed away when you were young, and so your father remarried your stepmother, and she had 2 kids with her. So that's how the whole family dynamic works. And you get in the beginning, your main character talks about how, your mother was the only person who ever loved you because your father doesn't treat you very well, or at least he seems to be very cold and distant towards you. And you find out later why that is. There is actually a reason. But what's really interesting is it's a very much an interesting depiction of emotional abuse in a way, because your main character talks about how your mother was the only one who ever loved you and cared about you and was so kind to you, but then you get these flashback scenes in each of the routes where basically it's all about what lesson your mother taught you, and your mother was always teaching lessons of, like, you'd never talk to these servants, they're beneath you, or don't worry about friends, the world is going to betray you, only I can love you, true love doesn't exist, don't go for romance and stuff like that, very controlling kind of behavior, and so it's really, really interesting to see, because it's pretty realistic depiction of how someone would react to the world, and also trying to deal with the fact that their mother wasn't really a great person, and they always kind of shove that over quickly, that development of, oh gosh, my mom wasn't the person I thought she was in every route, but they have to do it every single time, so I understand why. But it's really interesting, because that's like the biggest roadblock for this character, is this realization that, oh, my mother was actually very cruel to me, this is not how the world works. And so I just find that mindset and how that comes about really interesting. So, good job, Cinderella Phenomenon, but I still have to get all the endings.
Gotta fuck all the guys.
All the pretty boys, yeah!
Yep. Another thing about Persona 5 that's really interesting is the design of the dungeons. Is basically, it has a reason to why it looks like that. So, like, the first dungeon, which is not really spoiling because it's the first dungeon, your school turns into a castle because the bad guy thinks he's the king of the school and he can do whatever he wants. So when you go into the other dimension, the Persona dimension thingy, it turns into this really freaky looking castle with like a dungeon basement and shit. After that, all the designs are also really good, and I don't know, there's a lot of love that went into that game, I feel.
Yeah, I heard
for a AAA game.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of copy paste on the dungeons, I heard, which is really nice. No. Yeah. Because they totally did away with well, not totally. They did away with random dungeons. Mm-hmm. So the main dungeons are no longer random, they are like linear. They were designed and but they also still have the random dungeons, but those are like the side dungeon kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So they had more control, I guess. So it's such a good game. My God, go and play it. People play it. Just find a way, get a PS4 or the PS3 emulator is apparently coming along really well, and you can play. Persona 5 is actually on the PS3 as well. Okay, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no features that's different. It's just the graphics probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully. So you guys want to get into some news?
Let's get into some news.
Sure.
Sarah, you want to bring up something?
Yeah, guys, we haven't had to talk about this in such a long time. I am so excited to bring back to you our favorite old section, No Man's Sky sucks. So excited, because No Man's Sky's got an update, folks. Latest
multiplayer update.
A multiplayer!
1 year after they promised multiplayer.
So apparently, I'm only reading the GameSpot article there, so it may not be the most, intense article about this, but basically they finally got synchronous multiplayer, which was expected in the game already. Apparently this is described as just the first step. So they're like, this isn't fully our imagination, so don't be mad if it sucks.
So this game is basically early access, is what they're trying to say.
Yeah, it's still early access, folks, for $60. But it's apparently the interaction with other players is very limited for now. So you can explore a planet with up to 16 players, so that's pretty significant. And they're represented as floating orbs, so that's fun. And
also, I heard you can fly low orbit now.
Okay, that part I'm sure. So, yeah. The other thing that's there's also a new terraforming tool. I don't know much about the game because I didn't play it, so I don't know what that means. But the other thing of interest is the the PS4 and the PC version of the game, they actually made them cheaper. So you can get them for about $24 now. They actually, like, decreased the price. Or I guess there's a sale going on. So, yeah, it's about $24, or I don't know how much that is in euros, but something lower than that, because pounds. Anyway, this thing has them in pounds and dollars. But yeah, so around $24
No.
You got?
Never assume it's going to be lower. Because game developers was like, $60 US, £60.
Oh, no, actually,
because
here it is.
Fuck
no.
UK.
It actually happens to be lower. They say it's like $24, £16, 20 or £10 according to... Wait a second, is it £16 or £10? Apparently the PS4 you can get for £10, but on PC version you get for £16. I don't know why. It's the same price of dollars. Ugh. But anyway, apparently it's cheaper now. So if you really were dying to try it, I personally don't think $24.
It sounds like an okay game
but...
now, actually. Give credit where it's due, I guess, because they didn't just fuck all of you. We already have your money.
Yeah, I know. They wanted to make a good game. We'll see how they did. But yeah, so
it was
at least
it was the
price
hype
lower.
and the
But yeah.
everybody knows it. So yeah.
Yes.
But it's
so
cool. They finally have multiplayer.
They finally have multiplayer. Finally, you can do what the game was meant to be like. Maybe. It's only the first step, folks. So we'll see. So that has been our No Man's Sky sucks section.
So this one is not really news. I just want to bring it up because I think it's a pretty interesting article to read. So remember, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I was talking about Dream Daddy.
Yes.
And Dream Daddy was they got somebody made fan art by swapping genders basically.
Yeah.
And making them all dream mommies instead, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I mentioned that some people were not happy with it, blah blah blah. But you guys know Laura K. Buzz, right? Oh, yes.
Do I?
So,
I don't know if I do.
So she's a pretty popular games journalist, and she's also male to female trans. She's trans.
Okay.
And she's part of like the Podquisition podcast with like Jim Sterling and Miracle of Sound. She used to be like a freelancer, and she has like a Patreon and stuff like that, but she has now become the news editor for Kotaku UK. So that's cool.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So she has an article on Kotaku UK talking about why she felt uncomfortable with the Dream Daddy gender swapping thing because of one particular character. So one of the Dream Daddies, the Vampire Daddy, is apparently trans.
Oh, I think I did hear they think they did have a trans character.
So when the person who did the fan art, I'm pretty sure the person who did the fan art did not know. I think did not know that the Vam Daddy was trans. So just swapped him to become a woman instead. And instead of people taking it as a trans, but the other
female.
version, right?
Trans female, yeah.
People were saying it, or the real gender, basically.
Oh,
so that was the part that
no.
Yeah,
so
made her really
dream, So what I'm getting is that the Dream Daddy that was actually in the game was trans male.
Yeah.
And they just flopped back to being female.
Yeah.
And
But
wow, this
Which
is
was
very
the gender they
interesting.
were born.
Instead of being like, oh, this is now gender swapped to trans female.
To be
they're
fair
like,
to the
"No, it's
artist,
not
the artist
They're
was
just
not
actually the
trying
real
to
gender
do
they're
that.
supposed to be.
Yeah. So to be fair to the
God,
artist
pisses
was
me
not
off
trying
to
to
no
be
end.
transphobic or whatever. It's the
Yeah.
people reacting to the art. I'm pretty sure the artist said he or she did not know.
Yeah. The
Okay,
so it sounds
so
like
it
the
wasn't
artist
intentional
wasn't,
then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The comments were to it.
right.
Okay, yeah, that's understandable. I mean,
And I think the
I
game
can
wasn't
believe
very explicit about them being a trans. I think that's why
Person.
also.
Okay.
that. Jesus, people.
Yeah.
The comments are what kill ya.
It's a really interesting article. Go and read it up on kotaku.co.uk. Yeah. I know it's Kotaku, but it's Laura, so it's not so bad.
It's
Laura is one of the good ones.
yeah.
So the news thingy that I wanted to bring up is about Middle Earth: Shadow of War. Did I mention this before?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't remember it.
So they announced it's gonna have microtransactions
Ah, dang it, guys.
in a single player game. single player.
Oh no.
So it's not cosmetics. So it's not shit like buy this DLC and make your character look like a horse or whatever. It's actually not. So I was reading this opinion little like thread. They said shouldn't be called microtransactions, and I kind of agree. It's not actually microtransactions. You don't know what you're getting. It's loot boxes like Overwatch and like Counter-Strike.
Okay.
So Shadow of War, if you use real money, it's to get like experience points and stuff like that. Basically shit to make your character better, basically. But instead of knowing what your $1 is gonna get you, you're gonna get like a loot box and get random shit. So it's literally gambling, basically.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, great.
Yay. They should really... Do you guys think they should regulate this shit? Do you think it's gambling?
I mean, you could argue depending on how they... Because gambling is known to be addictive. We know it has the same properties as addictions. So depending on how they do these, I mean, if they have all the kinds of, parts that make it... that feed on that reinforcements for your brain. I guess technically it's such
I can see one like argument against regulating it. The rewards are not. I mean, it's just experience boosting stuff. It's not like money or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so personally, I think this is kind of this isn't as bad as say some of those mobile games that do microtransactions. Those are actually a bit problem. Like people
I think because those are more accessible. Because those games are free and it's like it can run on like really low-end phones. A lot of kids have low-end phones.
And the whole point of it is, like, basically, they can get you in a trap where, like, you can't advance, you can't do anything, really, unless you pay. Like, they kind of trap you into it. I mean, there was this one article I read a while ago about a guy, it was an interview, I think through crack.com, about a guy who was playing, like, Clash of Clans or something, and he spent $400 in the span of like 6 months on that game, and he really felt like he had become addicted to it. He just didn't realize it. And so like those kinds of things to me are like really problematic, and if they're gonna put regulations, I would much prefer they get down on those, because those really scare me. With the loot crate and stuff, to me, I think it's almost small fry comparatively, because it's not the point of the game, you know? It's not like I hope at least that they don't make it that if you don't try to get these loot crates, then you are screwed.
Yeah, it doesn't make it play to win, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what I'm thinking of whenever I think of loot crates is, like, skins, aesthetics, maybe a couple boosters. Not something that, like what you were saying with the mobile games, where, you know, you kind of start off and you're fine for, like, you know, you can play for about an hour, and then maybe the game makes you wait, like, an hour to get... enough energy or whatever it is in order to play the next level, right? Yep. And then it kind of like snowballs into it. So you end up spending so much time in it, you're like, well, I might as well spend money on it. I might as well spend more money on it. I mean, the further I get into the game, the longer I have to wait. The more other people are getting ahead of me, so right. I might as well spend that $1 every 30 minutes,
right?
Or
and it feeds on, I forget what this is called. That this there's a logical fallacy this is called, and I can't think of the name unfortunately, but it's basically the idea of
penal envy.
You can't. Darn it! No, Freud, shut up. You can't stop now, because if you stop, then you basically, this idea is you've wasted all this money, so you can't stop. You need to spend more. I forget that logical fallacy is called. So that traps people, because it's like, well, I've already spent $10 on this, so it's just gonna be, if I stop here, that all the money I spent on it so far is a waste. So I have to keep going. But that's how they get you. It's. Those things gross me out.
Yeah. The only thing is, no designer or company is gonna put this shit in without trying to want to make you buy it. Mm-hmm. So I'm just really worried that they're gonna gimp the character progression in the game, like if you don't spend in money in some way. We probably might not know because we don't have anything to compare it to. We maybe have the previous game to compare it to, but if it's too different, it's also going to be a bit difficult. So I'm just worried about that. Actually, I was very close to getting Shadow of War basically on launch. Not going to do that now. Fuck that. I'm going to get it on sale.
I believe it. Or at least wait and see what people are saying about it. I mean, is it going to be like Deus Ex Machina? Heaven forbid.
Because because the first game was really good. I really enjoyed it. And it was good enough for me to think like, I might just get it on launch. After a couple of days, get it full price. But no, fuck that. Nope.
Yeah, microtransactions. Those things always get into a. Oh, it's one of those can of worms I wish had never been opened in the video game community. It's too late now. Like they're never gonna stop. They never will at this point.
Yeah. They're too lucrative for the developers who are making them.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's...
There's no point, though, in a single-player game. Stop spending the money!
I know.
Yeah.
Ugh, it drives me nuts.
Even in, Overwatch, I feel like... I don't know. It's just... It's such a better system if, I know what my money is gonna get me. Instead of, some random shit.
Oh, yeah.
Or duplicates of what you already have, right?
And then giving us back, in the shitty non-premium currency or whatever.
Yeah. It makes me think of buying Magic cards all over again. Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Trading card games. The original microtransaction.
Yeah. The original gambling and microtransactions.
Yeah. Microtransactions and so now we should call it microgambling.
Microgambling. I like that, actually. That we need to make that term. Microgambling. It makes sense. Microgambling. It actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I coined this term.
Something pretty interesting. You guys know Fig, that crowdfunding platform that you can sort of be an investor kind of thing?
I'm not super.
I don't know
familiar
of that
with
one. I know what you're talking about as a crowdfunding platform, but that one in particular, I don't know.
Yeah, so Fig is one of the founders is Tim Schafer, the guy who made Psychonauts, blah blah blah. That guy.
Oh, okay.
And Psychonauts 2 was funded through Fig and stuff like that. So basically, what Fig is, you can be an investor. You can put in I think the minimum is $500, or maybe it depends on the game. I'm not too sure. Don't remember. But you can basically be an investor and get returns. Apparently, so the first Fig game that's been released, Kingdoms and Castles, apparently has now returned twice the money investors have put in.
Whoa.
And they will continue to pay it out for 3 years. I'm kind of worried that this news will make it into a people hoping it's a get rich kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a gamer stock market, man.
Oh no.
It's like Wall Street gamer style.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
I mean, it's interesting in small amounts. I'm just worried when it's a big game, $10,000 or something.
Not to sound all, ooh, they're ruining our games and the purity of them, but I'm so, because one of my favorite things.
Yeah, when it comes to
see,
money, it's
yeah, whenever it's money, it's I love seeing how baby boomer businessmen, not to put a whole just a whole cloth term on the term, but there's nothing else I could think of. Anyway, those business managers who have never played a video game in their life, but are video games make money. Let's see what we can do. I'm afraid they're gonna get their hands on this. I'm just no, don't do it. So that's terrifying.
Yeah. That's all I have, basically.
Let's see what I got, because I got a couple of interesting things. One thing I was going to add, this is kind of a weird thing, but apparently the 2024 Olympics are thinking of adding a gaming tournament. Newsflash.
The 2000 what?
24 Olympics.
24. Huh.
Yeah, so not the next one, but the next one after
Which
that.
video game, though?
Esports, mostly, it sounds like.
Yeah, but, which one?
I don't know. They haven't even gotten that far. But
that's the thing, it's not one sport, right? Dota 2 is considered one sport kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
Right.
It's not, yeah, there's nothing, what I read.
Maybe they should do a triathlon thing.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so funny.
It's like fighting games and MOBA and like DDR or something.
Yes.
Dude.
Oh, yes.
I will watch that.
I would watch that. But no, there's nothing official yet, but very much they're like, well, you know, there are people are interested in esports and let's have a conversation. So it's mainly esports they're really talking about, but Blizzard is apparently Blizzard apparently has felt for many years that, you know, this could be a thing. So we don't know in particular. Right now it just sounds like the esport community, as they called it. But we'll see. We'll probably find out more as they continue on. But that may be in the future.
You mean the esports community that hate each other's game? What community is that?
It's gonna be fun. Well,
I mean, if you think about it, they already have something like that they can draw from in like DreamHack and other esport type events that go on. So you can, I mean, it already happens, just not at the scale of the Olympics. So
I'm gonna be interested to see or to hear what like the actual athletes are gonna say. Like, this motherfucker, I'm like.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for the pushback. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you've heard that ESPN, I mean, they're starting a gaming section of ESPN, right?
Oh,
they already
and
have.
that there's already,
right?
yeah, they've started a gaming section of ESPN, and the backlash that they've received from
This is not sports.
real sports players has been so negative because they're like, oh, these people are just sitting in their chairs playing video games. Why, this isn't a sport? But it's such an interesting like interaction between like the virtual world and the real world that I'm really interested to see how that really like feeds and plays out in the next like say 10 years or so when you know we're changing the way sports is being played at all.
Yeah. It's definitely gonna be weird, but we'll see. I can't wait to have like freaking schools that train video game players for the Olympics. That's gonna be fantastic.
They already have like schools training people for esports.
Yeah, I guess that. Yeah, it's true. I'm not super. I have to confess, I'm not a sports person at all, even in video games, and so I am so not up to date in the esports community at all.
I think one element to this is because there are so many people playing video games. And to a lot of these people, video games is like a normal thing. And then to see like a select few at this level of competition, we just like when we play basketball, we're not gonna say, oh, I'm gonna play in the NBA. No, I'm a 5'10" Asian kid, so I'm not gonna be playing in the NBA, right? So we have that expectation when we play basketball for fun, let's say, play a sport for fun. But I think video games is still very early, it's still very young, so we still don't have that, like, I think a lot of people still think, like, I'm that good at video games. I'm not sure if I'm making sense. Because it's such a normal thing to us. And then all of a sudden, like, all these esports celebrities and stuff like that making so much money, it's, like, quite sudden, and the surge was so huge. And it's from something that we've been doing since we were like 10 years old every day. All of us have been playing games from such a young age, right? And all of a sudden there's just like people who are really good, and we can't find the disconnect there.
Yeah.
Unlike the NBA athletes or NFL or whatever.
I mean, but if you think about it, though, in the older generations, that kind of was it. I mean, you had kids who spent there still are. I grew up in a football town where every single kid who was on the football team were very, very much they thought they were all going to go to be NFL players, like every single one of them. I'm not kidding. It's exactly what you're talking about, is that these kids who had not a chance in the world really think that they're just going to get their college completely paid for. They're going into the NFL. They've got, family members or whatever who are already playing pro sports or semi-pro sports. And that's, it really isn't much different from that to the video game sports.
I think there's a difference in scale, and that's it. Maybe it could be. Well, I guess like way more people play video games compared to like high level football, even like high school or whatever, like organized sports in high school.
I guess maybe the way that I
at.
grew up in the community I grew up in, it
True.
just isn't that much of a difference to me.
Yeah.
So
I think it really depends on where you're at. And it also
Yeah.
depends on the people. I mean, I knew people geez, I still remember growing up where talking about video games was still kind of weird to talk about. You know, like you play video games, there was still a layer of weirdness attached to it, where that's now disappearing, but it was still there. And so yeah, I don't know. I'm still kind of, I think it really just depends on where you're at and just also like the kind of family that you're with and
And it's also
expectations
because
of that.
they call it sports, and they call these
Yeah.
guys athletes,
Yeah.
and they don't look like the typical athlete.
Oh, not at all.
There's also that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was like, what, athlete? Sitting on the chair. So I think that's that as well.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah.
interesting.
It's-
Hopefully.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. So I found that, and I thought that'd be really interesting to bring up. So yeah, we'll see what happens. The other stuff I have isn't really terribly interesting, unless you want to know about how basically the British, who is this guy? The UK spy chief apparently wants more kids to play video games to save their country. So that's kind of
So they
fun.
can pilot drones or something?
Kinda, yeah. Well, no, it's
Right.
more like computer engineering and stuff like that. Because he's like, that's kind of the way we're going, and we need to stop like preventing, because the way kids are learning these days is a lot through like simulation and video games and stuff like that. So we need to foster that, because then they'll learn these kinds of things and then can do more jobs in this area. Blah 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 blah. So
we'll save the country through the video games. Yes.
I just thought it was really funny that literally the headline is "Let kids play video games to save the country," UK spy chief says, and literally the line he goes is, "Your poor parenting may be helping them," is apparently one of the lines he said. So I thought that was really funny.
Wow.
Right?
You're already
mean-
insulting your future employees.
Yeah, exactly.
With the governments our world has today, it doesn't really surprise me, to be honest.
No,
When he
it's-
said something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
I mean, the UK's there's already backlash against this announcement, because the UK has been trying to, not just the UK, but the UK has been trying to put like restrictions on, try to put in laws in place, kind of like South Korea does, where in South Korea, if you're younger than the age of 16, I think, then they actually have a curfew of when you can play video games. That's because of yeah, they do.
You mean like in like cyber cafes or something?
No, I think even in your own home, they try to make it that, like,
How
like
are they going to
online
enforce
games, yeah.
that?
I have no idea. I think it's like with online games, they try to enforce it. But yeah, they try to, I think it is mostly cyber cafes, but I think they're trying to make it, like, overall. It's because now, I had a long discussion with someone over Facebook. It's funny, we're talking about the microgambling, because it's actually related to this. Because I had a discussion with some people at one point where, whenever we hear about video game addiction, which is going to be a very triggering word for some people in our audience, but whenever we hear about it, it's always in relation, I feel like, to RPGs or action games, like the video games that we know and stuff like that. But they never seem to talk about mobile games, which in my opinion are, much as we talked about, much more dangerous as far as video game addiction or gambling, quite honestly. And part of the reason for that, of course, is not to put a blanket statement on this, but usually older people play more mobile games and like those, so they don't see the danger of those, while they're scared of the kids playing pew pew with, action games. So they're going to be on those things. But in South Korea, one of the big things of like sorry, to go backwards a little bit, in, diagnostics as far as video game addiction, it's not officially in for diagnostics as an addiction, and a lot of psychologists don't really like putting that in there, because they feel like that's not the real problem. Like if someone is playing video games a lot, there's an underlying issue with that. It's not necessarily like an addiction like we know with alcohol or gambling and stuff like that. But in South Korea, there just happens to be a pretty large insurgence, it seems to be, of what they call video game addiction. There's been some stories and some issues where certain people, like, they play for video games for so long that they actually, like, died, basically, from not eating. Like, very extreme stories. And, again, I argue that maybe what happened, I argue there was probably a different issue underlying. But, yeah, so that's kind of why they have a lot more crackdowns on those kinds of things in South Korea. Fun fact.
Huh. That's very interesting, actually.
Mm-hmm. I mostly only know about this because I literally had to have a conversation with someone about it, so I started, like, researching it, and because they were like, well, I don't know. Some people were trying to say things like, well, RPGs are escapism, so that can be a form of addiction. I was like, well, it's actually, again, talking about that's not really addiction in that case. It's more of a symptom of a deeper problem, like using escapism. I mean, how is that any different than like, watching TV for several hours as an escapism? It's
right. Escapism is a symptom, not the problem.
Yeah, it's not an addiction in this case, so. Mental health things, yay. So.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
So yeah. Anything else? Anything else anybody want to bring up? Anything interesting?
I don't really have anything else that's super interesting, unfortunately.
I mean, you don't have to if you have nothing. It's okay. You don't have to go and like raw internet.
Scrolling. Nah, those are kind of the big things I found I thought were kind of fun to bring up, so.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about it. I think good place to wrap up.
I think so.
Nice. So Vogel, you're our guest. You can start off by telling people where they can find you.
Absolutely. You can find me on twitch.tv/xSingVogelx. That's XSingV as in Victor, OGELX. And I mainly stream on Twitch. You can find all my other social media through my Twitch channel. I have a Twitter and a Discord channel. So feel free to use those links and connect with me through those channels as well.
Sarah.
You can find me under Sarahscopic, SARAHSCOPIC. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Twitter, I'm technically on Twitch. I haven't done much with it yet. I'm new to Twitch as opposed to being new to YouTube. I also have a Facebook page, so give that a like. And yeah, literally you type my name into Google and I pop up. It's pretty cool, so yeah.
Nice. And I'm Pupunoob, PUPUNOB, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You know where everything is. Also check out our Discord channel. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much, Xing Vogel, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me out. I really appreciate it. This has been awesome.
Nice. Good. So yeah, this has been episode 111 of the playonultra podcast. Thank you very much for watching and listening. See you next week. Bye bye.